All right, shalom, and welcome everyone on YouTube. This is Chazak Eliyahu Yasharal. Once again, we are here for another of our weekly teaching. All right, we will be looking at the calendar today and at the question, when is Passover 2022? Okay, so yeah, so let's begin. Now, this teaching is not entirely mine. It was probably a collaboration, primarily done by a brother Henry, who does not like the camera at all. So he has been saying that he wants me to present it. I don't know if I can do it as good as he can because he has more knowledge on this topic than I do. So I'll try my best to present the verses that he gave. And also, yeah, I'll just do my best because probably he should be here to answer some questions that I know no doubt will come up. I might not be able to adequately answer some of the questions, but here goes. The calendar has been our Achilles heel for quite some time. Everyone wants to find the true calendar. Everybody wants to find the calendar because we know that the Gentiles changed the times and gave us their false calendars. So we had the Julian calendar, and now we have the Gregorian calendar. These calendars were not the scriptural calendars of 364 days. These calendars are different. So when we come into truth, we now strive to go after the calendar because on the calendar depends on us. The getting the right calendar determines whether or not we will be able to observe the right feast days. And we don't want to be there celebrating the feast days on the wrong dates. That's the danger, celebrating the feast dates on the wrong dates. So we are all striving for the calendar. So we had, resorted to what we found was the best one then, which was the Zadok calendar, which he had been using up to last year. But there is a major flaw that we found in the Zadok calendar, and that is the year begins on the fourth day, because the calendar has to stand the test of the sign of Jonah, which is 3 days and 3 nights. So the 3 days and 3 nights to bring us to the first day of the week would bring us back to the fourth day, Wednesday. So the Passover has to be the fourth day. We're going to look at that as well. It has to be the fourth day that they call Wednesday. And as such, the year has to begin on a fifth day, which is a Thursday. So having the year begin on our fourth day brought problems with the 3 days and 3 nights sign of Jonah, the Messiah, being in the belly of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights, because he says that's the only sign that he will give us. And what else is there? Yeah, so we have a brother who had been working on a calendar from about 3 years ago. And we started using his calendar until he found an abnormality in it. And he went away again for for some time, and he came and he gave us what he discovered and what he thinks is the right approach, and which we think is a right approach as well. And that's what we're going to present today. So the only problem was that he could not give us a start date. Everything else was okay, but a start date, the date when it starts. And so we're going to show you how we got to the start of the year. And we're going to also show you what he came up with. And the primary thing, I didn't start the recording, did I? Let me start the recording. All right. So the primary thing he came up with, and those of us in the group, Brother Mahar, if you see me missing out anything, you can tell me. All right. So where was I again? All right. The primary thing that he came up with was that the calendar was given in Egypt, and the first month is called Abib. And in knowing and understanding the meaning of Abib, we will know why we need to go back to Egypt to figure out the time of Abib in Egypt. Because Exodus 12 verses 1 to 2 tells us, and Yahuwah spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So he spoke to them in the land of Egypt. That's where he gave them the calendar. So that's the most important thing. It was given in Egypt. So we have to look to ancient Egypt to get some clues as to the start of the year and the calendar, etc. So we know that the time of the Passover was cold. You can see this, Brother Mahar?
Yes.
Could you read John 18:17 to 18, please?
Then said the damsel that kept door unto Peter, art not thou also one of this man's disciples? He said, I am not. And the servants and officers stood there. Hold a second. Could you please mute? Talia. I'm seeing your thing here.
Me?
All right, let me read again from 18. And the servants and officers stood there, who had made a fire of coals, for it was cold, and they warmed themselves, and Peter stood with them and warmed himself.
All right. You using your microphone?
Yeah.
Oh. All right. So, for it was cold. Now, this was a little after the Messiah was impaled. And it's telling you what happened then. It was cold at that time. And harvest time was cold as well. Proverbs 25:13.
As the cold of snow in the time of harvest, so is a faithful messenger to them that send him, for he refresheth.
So harvest time, it is cold. And of course, there are two harvests, which is why you have spring feast and fall feast. So what we're talking about here is the spring harvest, which is what we're concerned with right now, because it has to do with the beginning of the year. And the spring harvest is close to the beginning of the year. All right? So as we're saying that, let's look at the time of the wheat harvest, which is the summer harvest. And the grape, I think, is harvested that time. So we just look at the harvest time being cold. This is the summer harvest when it is warm. Isaiah 8:18-4. Read, please.
For so Yahuwah said unto me, I will take my rest, and I will consider in my dwelling place like a clear heat, upon earth, and like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest.
In the heat of harvest. This is the harvest further down in the year, the summer harvest. What we are concerned with is the spring harvest. So, going to look at first fruits and the second growing season. As we're talking about the summer harvest, read Exodus 34, 21 to 22.
6 days thou shalt work, but on the seventh day thou shalt rest. In earning times, in earing times, and in harvest thou shalt rest.
In earing time. In earing time, that's around the time of the first fruits. What happens is that understanding first fruits, the first fruits are the first fruits that you can reap from a harvest. It is the early part. It is just when the fruit is just coming in. And then you have harvest when everything comes in abundance. So the Sabbath command is that you rest in earing time and also in the time of harvest. That's the distinction. 22.
22. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks of the first fruits of wheat's harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end.
All right, so this is the summer harvest. This is the harvest later down in the year. First fruits of the wheat and then the ingathering, when all the entire crop is gathered. So we just added that to show you the difference between the two crops. All right. So there are 4 months between sowing and harvest. Because what we're doing, and I should have said it at the start, that the calendar is primarily based on agriculture. And it is based on counting days during the agricultural period. So this is how we can get to the calendar and show up the calendar, by understanding the agricultural periods and also count the numbers that the Most High has given us. John 4:35.
Say not ye, there are yet 4 months, and then cometh harvest. Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest.
All right, so the Messiah was telling us there that 4 months after you plant, then it's time to harvest. So we have to bear that in mind, that 4 months after planting, and it is consistent also in Egypt. Egypt, 4 months, and then the harvest. So we have to look to Egypt to find out when was the sowing time and when was the harvest time. Because around the harvest time, that is when we will have Abib, the first day, the first month of the year. So when was sowing and harvest time in Egypt? And we have 3 periods in Egypt. Egypt was very unique in that their agriculture depended on the River Nile. And the River Nile had a flooding season. It overflowed between June and September. It's called Aket, or the inundation. That's the flooding season between June and September. Now, they planted on the banks of the Nile. So when the river overflowed, it left some rich soil. And that is where they planted after the overflow. So June to September was the overflow. Then you have Peret, which is October to February, which is the growing season. Okay? And we see there we have how many months? 4 months. October to February. Well, October would be 5 months, 4 or 5 months. Yes. So that is the growing season. And then you have the harvesting season, which is March to May. But we're going to see also that there are excerpts, references that tell us that the harvesting season is from February. Because Abib in Egypt was between February and March. Between February and March, not between March and April, as we have been taught. Remember, Abib was given in Egypt. Okay, so let's look at the stages of the grain. Remember, we're going into agriculture. Stages of the grain. Mark 4:28-29. Read, please.
28-29. For the earth bringeth forth fruit of herself. First the blade, then the ear. After that, the full corn in the ear.
All right. So here are the stages. First, the blade. You see the grass, the vegetation. Then the ear. That is when the corn shoots up. And then finally, the full corn in the ear, the corn matures. This ear here is what we call Abib. When the corn is young, you may find some corn there, some first fruits there, but the harvest has not yet fully come until all of the corn is ripe in the ear. That's the stage. Verse 29.
But when the fruit is brought forth, immediately he put it in the sickle, because the harvest is come.
So this is our harvest, the ingathering. Gather all the harvest because everything is now ripe. Those are the stages of the grain. And so, after the plague of hail, because we have to go to the plagues to get the time and the timing. So after the plague of hail, this is the record that we get in Exodus 9:31-32. Read, please.
And the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear, and the flax was boiled.
All right. So when the hail occurred, when the hail, the plague of the hail was executed, the barley was in the ear. I remember we said in the ear refers to it being young, just coming up. Around the time of where you might get first fruits from the crop, but not at the time when the harvest is fully come. So it was in the ear and the flax was bold. Notice we have in bold letters here, in the ear and bold. The flax was bold. Now barley and flax, they were planted around the same time and they also came up at the same time. But verse 32 says,
but the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were not grown up.
So the wheat and the rye came in later than the barley and the flax. So they were not smitten because they were not grown up. So they were barely out of the ground, it seemed, why they were not smitten. So we need to look at the meaning of bold. And to get the meaning of Exodus 9:31, it means swollen or podded for seed. It was adopted in the authorized version from the version of Coverdale 1535. The revised version, as in the margin, was in bloom, which is the more probable rendering of the Hebrew word. It is the fact that in Egypt, when barley is in ear, which is about February, flax is blossoming. Okay, so bold actually means blossoming. So when barley is in ear, which is about February, flax is blossoming. So we see the calendar kind of shifting towards an earlier period than that which we have been used to, because we have been used to the calendar beginning somewhere around 21st of March, near the end of March, thereabout. I didn't even look when the year begins. Let me check it. Let me check it. What date? And then 25th of, no, that's not it. March 16. Yeah, March 16 is when their year begins. But we're seeing here that the barley was in ear, and we're going to see the significance of being in ear. It's in ear about February. So let's look at the meaning of in the ear. And it is the Hebrew word for the first month of the year, which is Abib. So barley is in Abib about February. Abib begins about February. Meaning of Abib. Definition from an unused root, meaning to be tender, green. That is a young ear of grain. Hence the name of the month, Abib or Nisan. Abib, ear, green ears of corn. So we go back to barley was in the ear. The barley was Abib. And it says about February. We want to see that it's about February to early March. Also, another thing to look at is that the Jordan overflowed all its banks all the time of harvest, as it says in Joshua 3:15. And this will tell us, give us the approximate time of the harvest. And remember, the harvesting begins a little after the crop is in the ear. You'll have the first fruits then, and then they will continue to mature until the time of full harvest. Joshua 3:15.
And as they that bear the ark were come unto Jordan, and the feet of the priests that bear the ark were dipped in the brim of the water, for Jordan was overflowed, all his banks, all the time of harvest.
All the time of harvest. So this is another natural validation check to know when is the time of harvest. Now, when did Jordan overflow its banks? So we have a little thing here. The spring rains, a little fact. Spring rains and snow melt from Mount Hermon in the north, flood the river, causing it to overflow its banks. All right. 1 Chronicles 12:15. Can you see that, bro?
Hold on there.
Down the bottom.
I'm seeing just one line.
Okay, all right, I'll read it.
One line or two?
No, it's more than one. I'll read it.
Okay.
First Chronicles 12:15. These are they that went over Jordan in the first month, when it had overflown all his banks, and they put to flight all of them of the valleys, both toward the east and toward the west. So the Jordan overflowed its banks all the time of harvest, and it said it was in the first month when it had overflown its banks. So the overflowing of the banks begins in the first month, right? Matching up with Abib. So what we want to do, we want to look at the timeline of the plagues to see from the time of the hail, when the barley was in the ear, when the barley was Abib, to see the difference in time to when the Passover actually came. Okay? So we're going to look at a couple of the plagues and just look at the verses that gives the timeline. Timeline of the plagues. Exodus 9:31-32. We just read that, but let's read it again just to keep up with the timing. Exodus 9:31-32. And the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in the ear, or Abib, and the flax was bold, or blossoming. But the wheat and the rye were not smitten, for they were not grown up. So Exodus 10:3-4 is the next plague. Plague after this is in Exodus 10. And verses 3-4 are going to tell us the time. Read, please, bro.
And Moses and Aaron came in unto Pharaoh and said unto him, Thus said Yahuwah, Allure of the Hebrews, how long wilt thou refuse to humble thyself before me? Let my people go.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh yeah, verse 4.
Verse 4. Else, if thou refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow will I bring the locusts into thy coast.
So the locusts is going to come tomorrow. So let's see what happens tomorrow. Verse 13.
And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and Yahuwah brought on east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts.
So the next day, this takes care of the next day, all that day and all that night. And then verse 16.
Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron in haste, and he said, I have sinned against Yahuwah your Allure, and against you. Now therefore forgive, I pray thee, my sin only this once, and entreat Yahuwah your Allure, that he may take away from me this debt only. Continue?
Yeah, continue.
And he went out from Pharaoh and entreated Yahuwah. And Yahuwah turned a mighty strong west wind, which took away the locusts that cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one locust in all the coast of Egypt.
So that is 2 days. All that day and all that night. And this now is the next day. So we add 2 days to the time when the barley was in the air. Because what we're doing, we're showing that it was not a very long time. Verse 16-9. Oh, yes. So we need go to verse 21-22 for the next plague to see how many days we added. We just added 2 days, 21-22. Read, please.
And Yahuwah said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days.
3 days. All right, so 2 plus 3 equal 5 days. 5 days since then. And Exodus 11, 4 to 5.
Proceed. All right, looks like Brother C fell off a little bit. I'm sure he should be back soon. And we are on explaining the calendar and how we arrive at the date of the calendar. Can you mute? Is it Yafa?
Yes.
Yeah, can you please mute a little bit until? Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you please mute?
Put mute. Let's see. I'm on my tablet. Let's see how to do it here.
I don't know why. Let's bear for a little bit, Brother C fell off, so I'm sure he's working on getting back on. Well, like I said, we're here trying to explain the calendar and how we arrive at our starting day. Because for many years, or for a few years, we've been trying to observe the Passover, and we know how important it is to do it just right. We can't afford to be missing it year after year. It has to be done at the correct date and the correct way. So that is why our brother Henry was seeking diligently, and he came to us as a form of oneness so we could figure this out together. And Brother Kazak was seeking also, and he came up with a date. So this is what we are doing today to explain how we arrive at the correct date, supposedly. I guess Brother C is back.
Yeah. Shalom, Mahar.
Yeah, shalom,
bro. Phone, the thing got cut off. My mother go on the phone, it just cut off the internet. So.
And now the writing look a bit fuzzy.
Yeah, because I'm using my phone. So, yes, she's finished, Diona? Huh? Let me try to go back to the original. I'll just have to use it until it comes back because I tried it a while ago. And all right, so where was I again? Oh yes. Exodus 11, 4-5.
You will have to read it until it get back, or I'll just
Yeah.
try to find it on my phone. Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. Exodus 11:4. And Moses said, "Thus saith Yahuwah, about midnight will I go out into the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and the firstborn of beasts." So that was the same night. So we have 5 days already added. This is the same night that this happened. So we see it was not very far from it was about 5 days from the plague of hail onto this plague. Okay, where am I? What am I doing here? All right. So, all right. So this is it's a relatively short teaching, but yeah. So where were we again? All right. So it's a relatively short period of time. Now, there are some people who don't want us to have anything to do with the moon because we're going to reach to the moon, which is a faithful witness. So there are others who will say, when you're doing the calendar, you must not have anything to do with the moon. Deuteronomy 4, verse 19 is the verse that is used to say that. So let's look at it. And then we're going to look at some verses to see what this means. You get on? I'm going to try to switch it now. Let me try this. 7. All right. Am I still on? Yes. All right. So you should be able to see it now, Brother Mahar.
It's still, I could use my phone. I'm there at verse 19. So I could.
All right, go ahead.
Unless thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them, which Yahuwah thy Yahuwah hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven.
All right, so the Most High has divided the sun and the moon unto all nations. So all nations can partake of the sun and the moon. But he says, lest you lift up your eyes unto heaven, and when you see them, you should be driven to worship them and serve them. So the question here is worship. What does it mean to worship? Where? What? Oh boy, I put the wrong thing here. All right, so let me go and get the meaning of worship here. It's verse 19. Worship. All right. Worship here is the Hebrew shakal, which means to depress. That is prostrate, especially reflexively in homage to royalty or allure. Bow self down, crouch, fall down flat, humbly beseech, do make obeisance, do reverence, make to stoop, worship. So in observing using the sun the moon as a witness, as the scripture tells us, is not worshiping the moon. The scripture tells us that the moon will be a faithful witness. And we're going to look at a couple of verses that show the part that the moon plays in the calendar. And the sun as well. The sun faithfully brings out the days. And we're going to see what part the moon plays as well. So to bow down, to worship the moon is actually to bow down and worship the moon as a deity. Fall down, beseech, humbly beseech, do reverence to, make, to stoop, worship. So this is not what the Most High is talking about, because what you happen with the moon worshippers, they bow down to the moon, they bow down to the sun, and they turn and they worship it as a deity to give them whatever they want to give. Just as we would worship the Most High and have a relationship with the Most High, they seek to have a relationship with the sun and with the moon. That's not what the Most High is talking about. Okay? Oh, what is this? What is this? Oh. I will have to restart OBS. Technical difficulties again, but we'll get over. Oh boy, the profile, scene collection, getting there. Start virtual camera. All right, we should be okay now. All right, so putting aside that worship now, we look to the moon as a faithful witness, as the scripture tells us. We're going to look where the scripture tells us about the moon as a faithful witness. That is Psalms 89, verse 37. Psalms 89, 37. All right, read it, please, bro.
It shall be established forever as the moon and as a faithful witness in heaven.
So the moon is being compared to a faithful witness in heaven. If you use the moon to be a witness, you are not worshiping the moon. The moon was given as a faithful witness. So what is given, we accept. Sirach 43, 6-10. Sirach 43, 6-10. Oh, read please, bro.
He made the moon also to serve in her seasons for a declaration of times and a sign of the world.
All right. So if a moon was made by the Most High to serve in our season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world, in accepting the moon for a declaration of times and as a sign of the world, that is not worshiping the moon. All right? It was given for that purpose. So if you use it for that purpose, there is nothing wrong with it. Okay? Just like the Most High created us, man and woman, for a man to leave his parents and cleave to his wife, and they become one in marriage. If you do that, there is nothing wrong with it. But if we now go into things that are not commanded, fornication, adultery, bestiality, homosexuality, all of those things that are not commanded, then the same two bodies that were perfect and in perfect obedience by coming together as one, those same bodies now have become an abomination, become abominable. To the point where he says, if a man lie with a woman, a man as he with womankind, he's an abomination. Okay? It's the same thing with the moon. You use the moon for what it was provided for, good. But if you abuse it and use it for that which it was not created for, then it is abominable. All right? Verse 7.
From the Can you hear me, Brother C?
Yes. Yes.
Right. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection.
All right. So from the moon is a sign of feast. So the sign of the festivals, the moon was given for that. Now, if we just rubbish that and just throw that out, then we would not be wholly in line with Scripture. So these things we have to bear in mind where the calendar is concerned. I like that decreaseth in her perfection, because when the moon is full and perfectly fully lighted, then it wanes each night and decreases in illumination until it goes right back to square one, where we have the new moon, and it restarts by waxing greater and greater until it reaches perfection again. Verse 8.
The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven.
So the moon, it has a purpose. Verse 9.
The beauty of heaven, the splendor of the stars, an ornament giving light in the highest places of Yahuwah.
Verse 10.
At the commandment of the Holy One, they will stand in their order and never faint in their watches.
So that's why it's a faithful witness. It's a faithful witness, all right? Never faint in their order. And this is one thing that makes people who say that there's no Yahuwah, this is one thing that makes them fools. Because you would have to be a fool to believe that that thing is balancing in the middle of the sky, faithful in its movements, loyal, hundreds, thousands of years, loyal, never getting out of sync, perfect. It is only a fool who would believe that that can happen by chance, just by a big bang, and then everything is perfect. Oh boy, the fool says in his heart, there is no Yahuwah. I just want to say that just came upon my mind. I just had to speak about it. The moon for appointed times. Psalms 104, verse 19. Can you read, please?
104, verse 19. He appointed the moon for a season. The sun knoweth is going down.
All right, there we go. Seasons. And the seasons there is from the Hebrew moed, which really speaks about the feast. And we just said he appointed the moon for his feast. It's the same thing here. So moed, properly an appointment that is a fixed time or season, specifically a festival, conventionally a year, by implication an assembly as convened for a definite purpose. Technically the congregation, by extension the place of meeting. Also a signal as appointed beforehand, appointed sign time, place of solemn assembly, congregation, set solemn feast, appointed due season, solemnity, synagogue, time, set time, appointed. So Moed usually refers to the feast, and the moon was given to us for feasts. Now, if we ignore that, then no doubt we will be thrown off. All right. So as we are speaking about this, we're going to see that the dates that we took, that we got to be the start date, we will see that the moon also lines up with the times for the Passover, because the Passover is the 14th day of the month. And for the moon to be a sign of the feast, the moon has to be in conjunction with the feast. And the date that we got bears witness to this, because on the 14th of the month that we got, the moon is at its, what do you call it? Almost perfection. Almost at its brightest. And then the next day, which is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the 15th of the month, that is when the moon is at its highest perfection, the 15th of the month. So the day that we got is in perfect synchronicity with these verses about the moon being appointed for feasts. Okay? But in looking at the moon, we also have to beware of this warning. Where am I? Oh boy. It's gone. We also have to be aware of this warning that was given to us in the book of Jubilees or Jubilees. Technical difficulties there. All right. Where were we again? Man, why so many problems today?
You were just saying, according to the book of Jubilee, we were warned.
Yeah, but I had a, all right. All right. So Jubilees 6:36. I had the book of Jubilees open on my all right, here it is. Yeah, Jubilees 6:36. Yeah, Jubilee 6:36. Can't go too fast or else I'll lose it. So let me just scroll it. All right, that should be it. There's a warning in the book of Jubilees of following the moon, letting the moon be the basis for the calendar. Because what we believe is that the moon is the witness. The moon cannot be the basis on which you have a calendar, which is why all the lunar calendars, we have a teaching on justaword.org called Lunar Calendar Debunked. Let's go. Lunar something debunked. So that is a more comprehensive article to show why the calendars that are solely based on the moon cannot be right. They are the wrong calendars. All right. We use the moon as a witness, not as the sole source of the calendar. Because if you use the moon alone and follow the moon as we have tested, you are going to fall 10 days short, because with the moon, following the moon months, you are going to have your year at 354 days, not 364 that we should have. And we tried it with this that we had and counted every day, and we found out it was exactly 10 days short when you use the moon calendar. Verse 36, yes.
Yeah, before you go to verse 36, it is very important that you make that disclaimer and explain, because some people will be or would be going off, taking it different, like we are seeking the moon for answers, and then we confirm because the moon. So it is very important that you just said what they said a while ago, which is perfect.
Yeah.
It should be a witness. We should come up, seek Yahuwah, come up with it.
Yeah.
And the moon or whatever going to witness that it is so.
Yes, that's exactly it.
36.
All right. Yes.
For there will be those who will assuredly make observation of the moon, or will disturb the season and comes in from year to year, 10 days too soon.
And we just said that we proved the 10 days too soon for ourselves. Continue.
For this reason, the year will come upon them when they will disturb the order and make an abominable day, the day of testimony, and an unclean day, a feast day. And they will confound all the days, the Kodesh with the unclean, and the unclean day with the Kodesh. For they will go wrong as to the months, and Sabbath, and feasts, and Jubilees. For this reason, I command and testify to you that you may testify to them. For after your death, your children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason, they will go wrong as to the new months and seasons and Sabbath and festival, and they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh.
You see that? So when you go wrong, you will fall into all sorts of abominations. That's what it's saying here. So it has to be 364 days only. So with the moon alone, you only get 354 days. That is the dilemma. So, yeah, as we said at the beginning, that the day, the year has to begin on a fifth day. A fifth day. And probably should elevate this one before as well. The question, why do you believe Saturday is the Shabbat? It says the question that's often asked, and a very critical question that determines the calendar. All right? Now, we are not dogmatic with this because we are open. What's happening here? Let me see, I'm frozen. Huh? I'll give the answer when I'm finished. All right. Yes, I'm now moving. So, why do you believe Saturday is the Sabbath? No, one of the primary reasons I believe, I'm not dogmatic, I'm not saying I am correct, don't get me wrong, because we just have to study and get what is given to us. So, Deuteronomy 30, verse 19, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life, that thou and thy seed may live. I believe that the Most High gives us a clear choice. A clear choice, good and evil, life and death, blessing and cursing. So the choice that we make will determine how he deals with us. And we know with the Shabbat, we have people here who they just don't want to accept the Shabbat. They just do not want to accept the Shabbat. You tell them it is the seventh day that they call Saturday, and they refuse to keep it. That is a choice. Yes, he gives us a choice. So those who refuse it have refused his Shabbat. So I don't believe that, based on this, I don't believe that he would hide the Shabbat from us. And that is backed by what our research has given us in history, to say that throughout all the calendars, the 7-day cycle has been left unbroken. That's what all the research. There is no research that shows that they broke, that I have seen. I have seen. You may see it. If you see it, please share it so we can be edified and think again. But I have not seen anything that proves that they broke the 7-day cycle and restructured the days. Yes? And the Catholics, these are those who changed the times. They boast about changing the Shabbat, boasting that they do it because they have a right to. All right? They told you that they change it from what they call Saturday to Sunday because they have the power to change it. And another point is the 7th day is the Shabbat in over 100 languages. Now we know languages, most of them come from ancient times, from thousands of years even. And to have over 100 languages with variations of Shabbat, Sabbath, Shibot, whatever, variations of Shabbat being the 7th day, that speaks volumes. Why would so many languages have the Shabbat as the 7th day? That's another point. So one of the criticisms that the people who keep like a week in week, some Shabbats on Tuesday, some on Wednesday, because if you're following the moon every month, I realize every month the Shabbat would change to a different day. But there are some people who set the month on certain days. For example, I think some keeping of Wednesday Shabbat. Their criticism is, hey, you're keeping Saturn's day when you keep this quote unquote Saturday. Yes? So you're worshiping Saturn. It is the day of the worship of Saturn. But all the days of the week were given to worship other gods. Sunday, to worship the sun. Monday in honor of the moon. Tuesday is in honor of the German god of war called Tew. Wednesday is in honor of the Norse god Odin, who is the chief of all gods. Thursday is the day of the Norse god of thunder, who is Thor. We had a comic book with Thor with that hammer when we were young. Friday is in honor of Frigga. I think Frigga, god of marriage, is our goddess of marriage and the earth, H-E-A-R-T-H. And Saturday, 7th day, is named in honor of Saturn, the Roman god, Saturn. So whichever day you keep the Shabbat, you could be said to be worshiping one of their gods. So that is why we say we must not use the names of their gods for the days of the week. We should use the first day, the second day, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then Shabbat, which is the only one that was given a name, the 7th day. All right? So this is why we believe what they call Saturday, the 7th day, is the Shabbat. All right? So, yeah, go ahead.
Are you finished with that point?
Yeah, go ahead.
what I'm seeing here, they can easily put a day or the name of a day to the seventh day, but they cannot change the counting of the Most High days.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
Yes.
So it is easy for them to put on a name Sunday, Saturday, whatever, but they just cannot change the number 7. They cannot change the Most High counting.
Yeah. So, but that would depend on whether they had changed it, the order sometime before. So the onus on those people would be to show that they actually change the counting of the days with the almanac. And that is what I'd love to see. Because only then would I now start to believe that, hey, you know, yeah, so if the proof is given, then we can examine it.
Yep.
All right. So the sign of Jonah and the Passover, we had spoken about it earlier, that, let's go, Matthew 12:40. This is the Messiah speaking.
For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth.
All right. And we know the Messiah was impaled around Passover. Wish I could, there is a diagram that I could share that shows the exact timing of the 3 days and 3 nights, which puts us to the day of the Passover and the Messiah raising on the evening of the Shabbat in time to get ready for the first fruits. Because with the Feast of First Fruits, what happened was that the first fruits were picked I think it was picked the evening. Yeah. First fruits was picked the evening of the Shabbat to be presented in the temple on the day of first fruits, which would be the first day. So the Messiah did the same. He rose on the evening of the Shabbat in time for first fruits the next day. So the 3 days and 3 nights would bring us to Wednesday being the Passover, which means in order to get the count to the first day of the month, the first day of the month has to be what they call Thursday, a 5th day. All right, let's continue. Leviticus 23:5.
Leviticus 23, verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month at even is Yahuwah's Passover. Messiah died on Passover.
Continue.
That is in John 19:31. The Jews therefore, continuing this, and John?
Yeah, man.
The Jews therefore, because it was the preparation that the bodies should not remain upon the stake on the Sabbath day, for that Sabbath day was an high day, besought Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away.
All right. And we know that the Messiah's leg was not broken in keeping with the Passover instruction that says no bone shall be broken. And his bones were not broken because when they found him, he was already dead. All right. So it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the stake on the Sabbath day. The preparation there means the day before the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The Passover day is the preparation for the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which comes the day after the Passover evening. Okay? So that said and done, we have Hamashiach rising at the end of the Sabbath. Let's go at the end of the 7th-day Sabbath, which is in line with the Feast of First Fruits, which takes place during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the first day after the Sabbath in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So Mashiach rose at the end of the Shabbat. Leviticus 23, 10 to 12. Read, please.
Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I gave unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then he shall bring a sheaf of the first fruit of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Sabbath. The priest shall wave it.
On the morrow after the Shabbat. All right. So from the Shabbat evening, the fruits were picked and brought to the priest the next morning for him to wave the sheaf offerings on the first day after the Shabbat during the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Verse 12.
And he shall offer that day when he waved the sheep and the lamb without blemish of the first year.
No. When he waved the sheaf and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto Yahuwah. So the he lamb without blemish there was Hamashiach. This is the equivalent when he rose and rose for first fruits. Matthew 28, verse 1. To just match it up. Read it, please.
In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre.
All right, so this is in keeping. After the Shabbat, he rose after the Shabbat and presented himself for first fruits, because this day, the day of first fruits, first day of the week, was when they first saw him. So, yeah. So as we said, the year has to begin on a fourth day. And so, according to the studies that we did, based on Abib in Egypt, we got 5 possible start dates for February 3rd, February 10th, February 17th, February 24th, and March 3rd. So, our brother who presented this, he was thinking more like it would be earlier in February. But when he presented it, he could not narrow down on which date it was. So it was left to the Most High to provide the date for us. Because in all our searching, he could not get a start date. So we come to the question, how did we get to the start date? Because we said there were possible start dates, but March the 3rd was given to us, and we're going to show how we decided that the year began on March the 3rd. First of all, the person who presented this, because this is how the Most High works, he puts people together and he doesn't give everybody everything. It is this knowledge. It is this knowledge that we have that changes how we deal with things. So, for example, when people used to comment on our whatever we do, the tendency, like most, would be to defend what you taught. But now we realize each one teach one, and we don't know everything. We become more tolerant of the criticism of others. We have to. And when you become more tolerant of the criticism of others, you learn more. and then you learn your errors as well. So this person was unable to narrow down to a start date. So that told me that the Most High wanted us to figure out the start date. And it was confirmed in a dream from a brother who was with us called Amikai. And it was the same day, the person who presented this to us, he was in the same location with us and he overnighted with us. And it was the same night that he was there that Amikai had the dream. And this dream, he said, showed his brother, himself, and I together. And we came upon an Egyptian mummy. And a voice said, whatever you ask the mummy, he will give you the answer. Something like that. I'm just rephrasing it because I don't remember his exact words. So, but in essence, whatever you ask the mummy, he will give an answer. So I left it and didn't try to seek out any mummy for quite some time. And then I saw that the time was running out. And I said, you know what? Let me go and, check out the mummy and see what I get. So I went and I researched and found out, as I thought, confirmed what I thought, that it was Ramesses II that is said to have been around at the time. So I went and I started searching about all sorts of things with Ramesses II until I came with something to do with the Nile and the time when it overflowed. Because okay. Yeah. And the time that it overflowed. And it told me something very significant. And this was what I got that changed everything, because we were thinking that it has to be in February. But then when I look, these verses that I have emboldened, these were what made all the difference. The time of the flood varied. So it's not hard and fast having to be in February. Because remember, the Egyptians based everything, all their timing of their agriculture and their planting was based off the time when the Nile flooded. Because the Nile had to flood to deposit the new rich soil, and then it had to recede and get dried so that they can plant and reap before it flooded again. And this was what I found. It said, because the precise timing of the flood varied, the months of low water no longer precisely reflected the state of the river, but the season was usually the time for the collection of Egypt's grain. So it's just this emboldened part, the precise timing of the flood varied. And when I read that, it stuck to my mind. And I'm saying, hey, we cannot be hard and fast with the date. So let me go back. So after I checked that out, according to the dream, then the very same night, I checked that out like in the day. And then I think it is the same night I had the dream. I had a dream. And my dream was that I was like visiting somewhere. And I was being taken around. And when I looked, was inside. It was a church. but it wasn't a church. It was like more like an office. And the difference with the office is like they were there focused only on one thing and one thing only. And that was to find, to sort out the calendar. And there were people there busy, and you had a whole lot of people on with people writing their ideas and people figuring out things and all of that. And then I saw one girl there that looked like she was in charge, like she was there. And somebody took me to her, I think, yes. Somebody took me to her and said, she has the date for the start of the year. And I said, what? And so, you know, I am curious, and I went up to her and said, can you show me what you have written there on the thing for the start of the year? And she turned the paper around, the book around, and I could see clearly on it, March 3, 2022. So when I got up, I was like, I didn't remember that we had the March 3rd in mind. So I went to the almanac and said, let me see if it is a fifth day. Let me see if it's a Thursday. And when I looked, yes, it was a fifth day. And I was like, wow. And then I said, let me look to the moon for a witness to see if there's a witness with the moon. Because the dates that he was proposing, the earlier dates, they had no witness of the moon. And I believe that if the Most High was showing us something, he would show us the witness, something as a witness. So the earlier dates, which were the 10th, the 3rd, the 10th, the 17th, the 24th, none of them had the moon as a witness. So I checked out March the 3rd. And sure enough, if we go to the book of Enoch, the book of Enoch, chapter 72, let me see if I can get it. Book of Enoch. I have to find this one. Oh, first Enoch, yes. All right. Chapter 72. When I went to the book of Enoch, chapter 7, what's that? 72.
Showing up there.
Oh, I see. Oh, this must be done. No. This. It's good now?
No.
Oh, boy.
All those websites are still there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's good now.
All right, so let me get this thing going down. You got it?
Yeah, it is there.
Yeah, read it, please.
You want verse 71?
Start from verse 1.
After this law, I beheld another law of an inferior luminary, the name of which is the moon, and the orb of which is as the orb of heaven.
All right, hold on there. So after this he was talking about the sun. So he was talking about the function of the sun in the calendar. Now he's talking about the moon. So let's continue.
Its chariot, which is secretly ascends, the wind blows, and light is given to it by measure.
All right, so light is given to it in measure. Verse 3.
Every month as it exists, an entrance it becomes strange, and its period are as the period of the sun. And when in like manner its light is to exist, And when in like manner its light is to exist, its light is a seventh portion from the light of the sun.
All right, come back. I can't see. Let me read it. when in like manner its light is to exist, that means when the moon is full, its light is a seventh portion from the light of the sun. Every month at its exit and entrance, it becomes changed. That is, the light waxes and wanes every month. Thus it rises, and at its commencement towards the east goes forth for 30 days. But if you follow those 30 moon days, as we said, you'll reach 354 days. At that time it appears and comes to you the beginning of the month. 30 days that is with the sun in the gate from which the sun goes forth. So it becomes the beginning of the month. This is the witness that we want. But how does it become the beginning of the month? And note, if you follow this beginning of every month, you're going to end up with a lunar calendar. Very important. The beginning of the month. Let me skip down. Let me just read this. Half of it is in extent 7 portions, 1/2, and the whole of its orb is void of light. So when it is void of light, they call that the new moon, except a 7th portion out of the 14th portion of its light. And in a day, it receives a 7th portion or half that portion of its light. Its light is by sevens by 1 portion, and the half it sets with the sun. Now, what we're going to see is how it is when it is the beginning of the month. And when the sun rises, the moon rises with it, receiving half a portion of light. On that night, when it commences its period, that is, when it begins the year or the month, on that night, previously to the day of the month, the moon sets with the sun. So before the day of the month, the first day of the month, the moon sets with the sun. And on that night, that is the night previous to the first day of the month. And on that night, previously, all right? And on that night, it is dark in its 14 portions. That is the night before the month begins. That is in each half, but it rises on that day. So in the night, it is dark in all its 14 portions. But in the day, it rises on that day with 1/7 portion precisely, and in its progress declines from the rising of the sun. So it rises on that day. So the first day of the month, of the year, would be when you have a sliver, a very, very small sliver of light after the new moon. During the remainder of its period, its light increases to 14 portions. So this is how the moon matches March the 3rd. Because on March the 3rd, this is exactly what happens. You have the new moon on the 7th, on the 2nd, and then the first sliver is on the 3rd, just as it says in the book of Chanukah. So there again, we have another witness. And then the Most High sent 3 more witnesses, because the word says at the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, a matter is established. Now there is another channel, a popular channel called Watchman Reports. And that channel is very significant to me in that in the early part of us being here broadcasting on YouTube, most of the teachings that we got the same thing. And we would have I would have a sister, Tafara, would share their teachings. And I would say, if people see our teachings, they would think that I saw their teachings or they saw my teachings before they did the lesson. It was the exact same thing. So they were the persons who the Most High sent to confirm what I was saying. So sometimes I used to say some things that are very uncomfortable and people might think they're off. But then when you look, you see what Watchman reports with the same thing. And, you know, it kind of validated it to the point that on Just a Word TV, I think we have all of their things on it because they so much match our thing, our teachings. So we have all their videos, I think, on Just a Word TV. So someone asked in our group, that is the first witness, and said, was the 3rd of March the new year? So I said, yes, unless someone can prove otherwise. So I looked on that, hey, I got a confirmation because he didn't hear anything about us talking about any first day at all, any March 3rd. And then another member of the group who was kind of dormant, she came up and said, yes, it is, and showed a calendar. So I asked her, where did you get that calendar? And she told me a few days later, she said, Watchman Reports. And I said, wow, if this is not confirmation, well, I don't know what is. And at the same time, a few days before, I was searching on YouTube and I see someone put Happy New Year, March the 3rd. And I was very surprised. I said, hey, 3 witnesses. Because when we got the March 3rd, we were thinking that probably we would be the only persons who thought about it. Yes? So we got 3 witnesses of the March the 3rd date. All right? So remember, we counted, we went back to Egypt. Here's the process. We went back to Egypt to find out what Abib in Egypt and about the time. We followed the sign of Jonah, 3 days and 3 nights. So the Passover had to be on a 4th day. So the beginning of the year has to be on a 5th day. And then we use the moon as a witness to narrow down on the start of the year. Okay? So that is how we got to the 3rd of March. And the Passover then would be, the 3rd of March would be the first day. Therefore, the 16th of March would be the Passover. That is 4th day coming. The day they call Wednesday would be the Passover. All right, so hurdles left to overcome with this calendar. All right, because we won't tell you that everything is rosy after this. We will have to intercalate due to a 365 and a quarter natural year. The natural year is 365 and a quarter years. So using a 364 days calendar, you lose a year and a quarter each year. So if we were to continue using the same calendar, having it rotate every year untouched for, say, 30 years, we would be having our Abib in the month of January by then. Another 30 years, you have it in the month of December. So it will lose a day and a quarter each year. So that is why you have to intercalate. Intercalate means to make some necessary calculations in order to make the years balanced. Have to. Because you have to go between 365 and a quarter to 365. And the book of Enoch actually tells us, what is it? Book of Enoch chapter 73, I think, actually tells us how to intercalate. This is where I believe the intercalation is. Let me see if we can go there. Where is it? 73. Let me get 73. All right. Verse 1, then I saw another progress and regulation which he effected in the law of the moon, the progress of the moons and everything relating to them. Uriel showed me the set-apart angel who conducted them all. Now, no. I'm trying to find the relevant. No. All right. Thus I beheld their stations as according to the fixed order of the months, the sun rises and sets. At those times, there is an excess of 30 days belonging to the sun in 5 years. See that? The sun is going to have excess days over the moon in 5 years. And all the days belonging to each of the 5 years, when completed, amount to 364 days. And to the sun and stars belong 6 days, 6 days in each of the 5 years, thus 30 days belonging to them. So that the moon has 30 days less than the sun and stars. The moon brings on all the years exactly, that their stations may come neither too forwards nor too backwards a single day, but that the years may be changed with correct precision in 364 days. In 3 years, the days are 1,092. In 5 years, they are 1,820. And in 8 years, 2,912 days. To the moon alone belong in 3 years, 1,062 days. In 5 years, it has 50 days less than the sun. For an addition being made to the 1,062 days. In 5 years, there are 1,770 days, and the days of the moon in 8 years are 2,832 days. For its days in 8 years are less than those of the sun, 80 days, which 80 days are its diminution in 8 years. The year then becomes truly complete according to the station of the moon and the station of the sun, which rise in the different gates, which rise and set in them for 30 days. So what this is telling me, intercalation is needed to balance the sun and the moon. So that is another hurdle that we have to overcome. And I believe that Enoch chapter 73, we get the full understanding, then we will know how they did it back then, how they intercalated to balance off the times. Okay? So, yeah, the moon cycle annually, 10 days too soon. It's another hurdle to try to figure out. All right? So, we believe we have the first year correct. So, we now have to figure out how to get the second one correct as well. So, that's it. So, we have one, we believe, in the bag. Now to get the others going. All right? So, 2020 calendar early dates, Passover March 16th, Unleavened Bread March 17th to 23rd, and first fruits will be March the 20th. Those are the dates. So, how much time have you been gone?
Almost 2 hours.
Okay, almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
All right, so that is what we have on the calendar. Are there any questions on? Okay.
What do you do on Passover?
Oh, okay. All right, so All right, let's go to the Passover. This won't be a detailed one because of the timing, because it's not specifically for it. I think we had one on the Passover as well before on it. But there are some who believe that on the Passover now, we if we are not in the land, we should not keep the Passover. And even if we are not in the land, we should not keep the first Passover. From verse 3. Read from verse 3, bro.
In the 14th day of this month at even, he shall keep it in his appointed season, according to all the rites of it, and according to all the ceremonies thereof, shall he keep it.
All right. So this 14th day of this month is the 14th day of the first month. Read verse 1.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the first month of the second year, after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, let the children of Israel also keep the Passover at his appointed season.
All right. So our people were in the wilderness. And we were told to keep the Passover in the first month, because we know that we have a second month. But the second month is for those people who were unclean or on a journey for the first Passover. But if someone is clean and does not keep the first Passover, that person will be in problems, because they kept the Passover in the wilderness. So we are in captivity. We are also to keep the Passover, because verse 4.
And Moses spake unto the children of Israel that they should keep the Passover.
That they should keep the Passover. Not because you're in the wilderness. Verse 5.
And they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the first month at even, in the wilderness of Sinai. According to all that Yahuwah commanded Moses, so did the children of Israel.
So they were in the wilderness, but all that they were commanded about the Passover, that's what they kept. All right? But the next verse is verse 6.
Verse 6. And there were certain men who were defiled by the dead body of man, that they could not keep the Passover on that day. And they came before Moses and before Aaron on that day. And those men said unto him, we are defiled by the dead body of man. Wherefore are we kept back, that we may not offer an offering of Yahuwah in his appointed season among the children of Israel? And Moses said unto them, stand still, and I will hear what Yahuwah will command concerning you.
All right, hold on there. Notice the reasons. The reason defiled by the dead body of a man. So they are unclean. Continue.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if any man of you or your posterity shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or be on a journey afar off, yet he shall keep the Passover unto Yahuwah.
All right. If any man shall be unclean or be on a journey far off, then the Most High provides a second Passover. Verse 11.
The 14th day of the second month at even, they shall keep it and eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They shall leave none of it until the morning, nor break any bone of it. According to all the ordinances of the Passover, they shall keep it.
All right. So those who are unclean are on a journey, must keep the Passover the second time. The second time is not for those who are in captivity. No such thing. Second time is for those who are unclean are on a journey. So we should keep the Passover. And let's just look at the Passover in Jubilees 49. Oh, get there. I think that should deal with some things. Oh, Jubilees 49. Where was I? All right. Sorry, but let me try to get, trying to get. There we go. Read from verse 5, please.
And the plague was very grievous in Egypt, and there was no house in Egypt where there was not one dead. And weeping and lamentation on all Israel was eating the flesh of the Paschal lamb, and drinking the wine, and was laughing, and barakah, and giving thanks to Yahuwah Alua of their father, and was ready to go forth from under the yoke of Egypt and from the evil bondage.
All right. You know, someone wrote, I was going through Twitter, and someone wrote that this could be the last Passover we keep in captivity. This Passover is very, very important because it comes at a time when the wicked are doing their thing, when the world is getting more and more evil, at a time when we know we are in the season of the gathering of his people. So the Passover is important in that its observance, its true observance, is that Psalm 91 protection. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So it is very important to keep the Passover. And we see here that while the Egyptians are being destroyed, the children of Israel were happy, celebrating and eating their Passover. Verse 7.
And remember you this day all the days of your life, and observe it from year to year all the days of your life, once a year on its day, according to all the Torah thereof. And do not adjourn it from day to day, or from month to month.
All right. So don't adjourn it. So no matter where we are, we strive to keep the Passover in the best way that we can. It is that important. Very, very important. It is more or less your acceptance or your rejection of the covering of the Most High. Continue.
For it is an eternal ordinance, and engraved on the heavenly tablets, regarding all the children of Israel, that they should observe it every year on its day once a year, throughout all their generation. And there is no limit of days, for this is ordained forever.
So once you find out that you're an Israelite, that's it. Passover forever. All right? So it doesn't matter where you are, or what you can do or can't do. Observe it throughout your generations to the best of your ability. For there is no limit of days, for this is ordained forever. Verse 9.
And the man who is free from uncleanness and does not come to observe it on occasion of its day.
All right, stop there. This is the problem now. When we say that we have to keep the second Passover because we're not in the land. It's very, very serious. Read verse 9 again.
And the man who is free from uncleanness and does not come to observe it on occasion of its day, so as to bring an acceptable offering before Yahuwah, and to eat and drink before Yahuwah on the day of its festival. That man who is clean and close at hand shall be cut off, because he offered not the oblation of Yahuwah in his appointed season. He shall take the guilt upon himself.
You see how serious it is, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very serious. So we have to make sure that we clean ourselves up before the Passover. Verse 10.
Let the children of Israel come and observe the Passover on the day of its fixed time, on the 14th day of the first month, between the evening from the third part of the day to the third part of the night. For 2 portions of the day are given to the light, and a third part to the evening.
All right, so here is the part that lets us know that the Passover is an all-night party. It's an all-nighter. All right, 2 portions of the day are given to the light and a third part to the evening. And we're going to see that we should keep it until the third part of the night. And the third part of the night would be that part that is bordering on the morning. Verse 11.
This is that which Yahuwah commanded you, that you should observe it between the evenings. And it is not permissible to slay it during any period of the light, but during the period bordering on the evening, and let them eat it at the time of the evening, until the third part of the night.
That's where we say, until the third part of the night. So it's going to span from when it gets dark right until the third part of the night, which is near the morning. Continue.
Is it Mount 12, right? Let them.
Yeah.
Let them
No. And whatever is left over of all here.
Okay. And whatever is left over of all flesh from the third part of the night and onwards, let them burn it with fire.
Mm-hmm.
And they shall not cook it with water, nor shall they eat it raw, but roast on the fire. They shall eat it with diligence, its head with the inward thereof, and its feet that shall roast with fire, and not break any bone thereof. For of the children of Israel no bone shall be crushed.
So this is now a whole animal, and it is the flesh of the animal that is to be eaten, because the bones cannot be broken. All right, that's what it's saying here. But the question that I have, and I was inquiring of it. Where was I? The roast on fire, the feet, they shall. No. Where am I? Its head with the inwards thereof. And it says it in, I think, Exodus 12 as well, that you should cook it with the head, the feet, and the inward parts. Now, the question was asked, how can you cook it with the inward parts? And what if the gall bursts? And if the gall bursts, then the flesh will become poisonous. So I was speaking with Shamuel, and he was telling me about they would partially cook it and singe it with singe the outside, the what you call it?
Skin.
The skin with the hair, etc. on it, and singe it, and then after the hair is removed, they scrape it off with a knife, and then they go and take out the gall, and and take out the gall. And did he say the intestines as well? I don't remember, but something like that. Yeah, I don't know, but he said to take out the gall, and then you continue cooking until it is ready. Something like that he said. But he said that he was going to do an experiment before Passover and try to do it and see if it works and see how it turns out.
Yes.
So he's yet to... Yeah, go ahead.
That would be a good one, because what I was also looking on, when they roast those stuff on that thing that you turn,
Yeah.
even when they take out the intestine, it takes a long time. So we want to make sure that we don't leave anything in there raw, So
Yeah.
I guess it's a good thing for him to go and try and to see also the time it takes to be prepared that way, to see if it is doable, because we cannot go into the next morning without it being ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
but for sure, it shouldn't take an entire night from evening to the next morning. It shouldn't take so long, would it?
The reason why I say that on a regular animal to roast that way, when the intestines are out, it takes a long time.
Oh.
So with the intestine being in, it would take a longer time for it to even cook the inside part, because we cannot eat the inside part raw.
Yeah.
So you might want to start one early morning and time it and see if it is doable, so we can use wisdom to do it the way we are supposed to, and not go eating those inside parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good one. Yeah. Verse 14.
14. For this reason, Yahuwah commanded the children of Israel to observe the Passover on the day of its fixed time, and they shall not break a bone thereof, for it is a festival day, and a day commanded, and there may be no passing over from day to day, and month to month, but on the day of its festival, let it be observed.
Continue.
And do you command the children of Israel to observe the Passover throughout their days, every year, once a year, at the day of its fixed time. And it shall come for a memorial, well-pleasing before Yahuwah, and no plague shall come upon thee to slay or to smite in that year, in which they celebrate the Passover in its season, in every respect according to its command.
Wow. So it's an annual protection.
And also, bro, what you just said earlier, that you saw that maybe this Passover is it. I mean, I'm just saying, with all that's going on, we see if we do that, no plague shall come upon them to slay or to smite in that year in which they celebrate the Passover in its season, in every respect according to his command.
Yes.
It's something we just have to really look on, and don't just throw it off because somebody said it like that.
Yeah.
It is good to look on, because we don't know the timing of the Most High. He do his thing and his time. So what we are supposed to be doing is to get ready and stay ready.
Yeah. Be diligent throughout, regardless. Because some people do. They are diligent because they are looking for something. And when they don't see anything happening, that is when they turn around and they start lapsing, start relaxing, and all of that. Yeah, that's the problem. That is the problem. Yeah. Verse 16.
And they shall not eat it outside the sanctuary of Yahuwah, but before the sanctuary of Yahuwah. and all the people of the congregation of Israel shall celebrate it in its appointed season.
All right.
Continue.
Yeah.
And every man who has come upon its day shall eat it in the sanctuary of your El Shaddai, your Almighty, before Yahuwah, from 20 years old and upward. For thus is it written and ordained that they should eat it in the sanctuary of Yahuwah.
All right. So if we don't have the sanctuary of Yahuwah, like we're in captivity, we come together and partake of it, because it is given to us forever. So we have to partake of it no matter where we are. So Passover is one of those feasts that you really want to come together with others, family, etc. Come together. Verse 18.
Before we go to verse 18, let's look back a little bit more on verse 17, because I know
Yeah.
my daughter is looking forward to the Passover.
Yeah.
When we just started to observe Passover, I was a bit worried how they would take it, especially the roast lamb. And they both were so excited, and they surprised me in the way how they loved it. And like I said, they are looking forward to it. But in verse 17, it is looking like they're not allowed, right? Is that it?
No, they're not allowed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Ali?
Yeah. So their protection comes from the parents.
Parents.
They are sheltered, and the Most High gives the parents the burden is on the parents. That is why he says he shows love to those who do his commandments, but he shows his wrath on those, just paraphrasing, on those who hate him to the third and fourth generation. So the Most High rewards and protects and chastens according to the parents themselves.
And also, bro, it also it is looking to me like it is bringing out the fact that children should not be baptized.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Because as children, they are still under their parents. So
Yeah.
to be baptized will be taking up role that they're not ready for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And bringing on the weight of the wicked one that they cannot manage as yet, because he's gonna come at them.
Yeah.
Where was
18.
Yeah.
And when the children of Israel come into the land which they are to possess, into the land of Canaan, and set up the tabernacle of Yahuwah in the midst of the land in one of their tribes, until the sanctuary of Yahuwah has been built in the land. Let them come and celebrate the Passover in the midst of the tabernacle of Yahuwah, and let them slay it before Yahuwah from year to year. And in the days when the house has been built in the name of Yahuwah, in the land of their inheritance, they shall go there and slay the Passover in the evening at sunset, at the third part of the day. And they shall offer its blood on the threshold of the altar, and shall place its fat on the fire, which is upon the altar, and they shall eat its flesh, roasted with fire in the court of the house. Which
all right, hold on there. This is speaking now, we have to qualify. This is speaking about when the children of Israel come into the land. All right? And when the house has been built. So continue. Verse 21.
And they may not celebrate the Passover in their cities, nor in any place, save before the tabernacle of Yahuwah, or before his house, where his name has dwelt. And they shall not go astray from Yahuwah.
So this is when they get into the land. Can't do it from your house, you can't do it from anywhere else, except the place where Yahuwah has named his tabernacle. 22.
And do you, Moshe, command the children of Israel to observe the ordinances of the Passover, as it was commanded to you. Declare you unto them every year and the day of its days, and the festival of unleavened bread, that they should eat unleavened bread 7 days, and that they should observe its festival, and that they bring an oblation every day during those 7 days of joy before Yahuwah, on the altar of Yahuwah, your Almighty. You celebrated this festival with haste when you went forth from Egypt till you entered into the wilderness of Shur. For on the shore of the sea, you complete it.
All right. So when they were not in the land, they kept it in the wilderness and on the shore of the sea. Now, that's what makes it for us. Same thing for us. We're not in the land, so we keep it where we can keep it. Yes? So, what time is it?
12:07, just 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Okay, so we can look at Exodus 12, because that gives us more detail into the Exodus 12. From verse 3.
Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household...
Okay. So the lamb should be taken from the 10th day and kept until the 14th. But in captivity, this may not always be possible for us, because we are not dealing in husbandry. We're not doing farming, most of us. So we don't have our own goats or lamb to separate and go and choose like that. Yes, some of us have to be buying from others. Some will not even be able to buy a lamb. That is how it is in captivity. Continue.
5, right?
4.
And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of his souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. He shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats.
So it doesn't have to be sheep. It can be sheep or goat. And I was doing research, and I realized that a goat can be fully grown at 10 months. So when I heard of the first year, I was thinking of a little baby goat.
Me too.
But when 10 to 12 months, it is fully grown and ready for slaughter. So it's not the little lamb, what do you call them?
What kid?
The little kids, yeah, the lambs, whatever. Yeah.
And that show you all we are so limited, because when the most I said it, I saw you go.
Exactly.
So when you and I had to wonder, that was a little kid.
Yes.
It showed that we are very limited.
Yes. It shows us that we just have to try to figure it out instead of saying, that doesn't sound right. Yeah. Verse 6.
And he shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
So this is why you need to come together as an assembly. What does it say? The whole assembly of the congregation of Yasharal shall kill it in the evening. Does it mean that everybody in the congregation is going to come together and kill it?
No.
It means everyone should be present. So that is why he wants us to come together in a sanctuary. It is kind of like a ceremony, a set apart spiritual ceremony that we do together. So for our Passover, will it be Brother Mahar doing his first kill? You Mahar?
I told you the last time we talked about this that I have in my kitchen there very sharp knife. I can loan it to you.
Benaiah or Yahuda. Yeah. Ziona says she wants to do it. Oh, it's a man after the little child.
She can take part in it.
The Benaiah or Yahuda. Which one are you? Anyway, verse 7.
And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the house, wherein they shall eat it.
All right, so we don't need to do this with the blood because the sacrifices have been covered once and for all by Hamashiach. Verse 8.
And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
All right, unleavened bread, roast with fire and unleavened bread. It can either be roasted over an open fire or over an oven. I was reading, but they were actually saying that probably the children of Israel would not have access to an oven at that time. Yeah, but they did it in their homes. So yeah, probably had ovens. Come to think of it. Yeah?
You know, sometimes they have those concrete coal or wood pot in their homes too.
Yeah. So remember, when they killed the Passover the first time, they were still living in Egypt. So they would have those things, ovens, etc. So that's another thing. But roast with fire and unleavened bread, we know. What they call it? Matzah. Unleavened bread is bread that has no raising agent. Nothing that raises the dough. So you will eat it. Without, it will be tougher than normal. So it's not so palatable as the bread with dough. And seeing that I don't eat flour, my unleavened bread last time was oats. I made oats bread. And there are a lot of recipes for people who want to avoid the flour. And with bitter herbs, they shall eat it. So we use kale and parsley, and there's horseradish. There is romaine lettuce. That is 4 of the bitter herbs that you can eat it with. Okay? Verse 9.
Just to add to that, from that implication, it's showing us it is not a time of comfort. You know, it's a time that, you know what? It's an escape moment, this. So let's get it over fast. Let's get it. It is bitter, but let's eat it and let's get over with it.
Yep.
You know. Verse 9. Eat not it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the pertinence or intestine thereof.
Yes, with the inward parts thereof. That is the challenge here. Verse 10.
And he shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning he shall burn with fire.
11.
And thus shall he eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and he shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuwah's Passover.
Eat it in haste. Your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, your staff in your hand, and your backpack on your back. All right, Mahar.
If you want to kind of demonstrate how someone eating haste, I mean, that would be good for someone.
Are you eating haste? You eat as if you are hurrying. You are actually dressed for a hike, as it were. with your backpack on your back. You have on your shoes. If you walk with stick, you have your stick in your hand. And you hurry and eat it as if it is your last meal in that place. So the whole idea is this place is not my place. The whole idea is I'm a stranger and a sojourner here, and the Most High will take me out at any time. So we eat with expectation of being taken away. So what if this Passover is the wilderness? Might be this one, might be another one, but it seems from what you're reading that it will be a Passover that is his people will be set apart for the wilderness. Continue. Yeah, go ahead.
Before we continue, as you were saying that, I was going to say this. Two things. So with the heating aids, let's say we are coming from a long journey. We are going somewhere because, yes, this place is not our home. We are strangers just passing through. We don't want any problem. We don't want no fight. So we have our backpack, our staff in our hand, our whole heavy body armor, and we start to drink some water. We would not take off all those things and put it down to drink some water. We will still keep all those things, hold one hand and drink some water while watching and keep moving. And the next part, I think that for the ones who have their backpacks already, pack your bag, get your shoes, put it right at your door, just in case. It is not wrong to do that. It is not sinful to do that. That is being ready and staying ready. Let's not take nothing at all for granted.
Yep. And that is emunah. That is faith. Believing before you receive.
Yep.
Read, please.
For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am Yahuwah.
Go ahead.
And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the house where ye are, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you, to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt.
When I see the lamb of Yahuwah, when I see my son, I will pass over you. 14.
And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it as a feast to Yahuwah throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast and ordinance forever.
A feast by an ordinance forever, non-stop. Continue.
7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
All right, so here we are now into the feast of unleavened bread. And the unleavened bread starts with the Passover. So 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your house. So from the day of the Passover, empty your houses of anything that has leaven. And leaven, of course, is very, very broad nowadays. Know that they have all so much different types of materials in our food. So any type of raising agent, when you go and you shop, any type of raising agent, you have to pay attention to it. Baking soda, yeast, don't remember them. Of all sorts of names that are raising agents. You have to take them out of your house. And what you're going to be having, you're going to be having a 1 week cleansing. That's what you're going to be doing. Cleansing from all those leaven products. Verse 16.
And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat that only may be done for you.
Of you. All right, so hear this now. This is the 17th. 17th is a Shabbat. No work except to look about your food. That's the only work on that Shabbat. So the first day and the 7th day, so this the 17th and the 23rd, I think, both of them are Shabbats. The other days are ordinary days, but they are still the feast of Feast of Unleavened Bread. So what did we do the last time? What did we do the last time? Did we come together every day, every one of the days? No, only the first. Okay, only the 2 Shabbats. All right. Verse 17.
And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in this same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generation by an ordinance forever.
Okay. So the children were asking if they are to eat unleavened bread. Of course, because unleavened bread should be out of the houses. So that includes the children as well. No leaven in the house. 18.
On the 14th day of the month at even, on the 14th day of the month at even, he shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even.
Continue.
7 days shall there be no leaven found in your house. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land.
And this is very important it is. We have to be very careful as to what we eat. Very, very, very careful. 20.
And he shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitation shall he eat unleavened bread.
See how many times it's being repeated? 21.
Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover.
Yeah, go ahead.
And he shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning.
All right. None of you shall go out the door of his house until the morning. So when they were in Egypt and they killed the Passover outside, but when they went inside now to eat, that was when they do not go out. They got the command not to go out. That is why they got the command not to go out of the house until the morning. Why the death angel was passing through. So for us today, we observe the same thing. We don't know what's happening spiritually outside. And we never know what will happen spiritually outside. Might go out of our house before the morning and getting problems. So if we're even going to burn, if we have food left over and we are going to burn the food, we don't do it until the morning. Verse 23.
For Yahuwah will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the 2 side posts, Yahuwah will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you.
24.
And he shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever.
Forever. Continue.
And it shall come to pass, when he be come to the land which Yahuwah will give you, according as he had promised, that he shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, what mean ye by this service? That ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of Yahuwah's Passover, who passed over the house of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptian and delivered our houses, and the people bowed the head and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away and did as Yahuwah had commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they.
So did they. So now this has been delivered to us. It is, the question is now, will we do what is or has been commanded unto us by the Most High, Yahuwah? All right. So, where am I? All right, let me get back here. Yeah, so that was what we had to present today, the calendar, and why we have been having several people have been messaging me and sending emails regarding the calendar. Wow, I hope, what should I do? Okay, I can send the link to this video. And I hope some of them were listening. So, yeah, this is what we have. This is what we have received. And what we receive, we give it, all right? So, any questions? Zion, any questions from YouTube? Any questions from YouTube?
How do we keep it by yourself if you don't have nobody to keep it?
Oh, someone was asking, how do you keep it by yourself? That is a good question. How do you keep it by yourself? I would do everything to the best of my ability. That's it. That's what I would say. I don't know if Brother Mahar has anything else to add to that or anything else to add otherwise.
With that one, the best would also be to see if there is anyone else in close proximity who will be observing it, to join with them to observe it. And that's the only thing I can add to that question. Otherwise, it is always a pleasure when we seek to obey the Most High's laws and commandments and statutes. I mean, his laws are not grievous. Yahushua said his yoke is easy. So when we are seeking Yahushua, seeking the Most High through his Son, and when we come across something that we were not doing, we were in error, we hurriedly fix it and move on. So, hey, we will never know it all. There are some things we will know now and some things later. But we should all do our best to do that which the Most High will and count it all joy. What more can we do? All right, so looking forward to this Passover. It's a pity I've never killed an animal unless it's an accident while driving, but I mean, we will see if a brother here will take up that part, and I promise Brother Kazak is there laughing. I promise him to lend him a very sharp knife. And for once he might be able to do something he think he could not do, because what I would say to you, there are some things in life we think we cannot do. And when we are pushed to do it the first time, we realize that yes, we can do it. So my first pushing is to give him the knife as a start. And he will take it from there. Yes, let us just be happy to want to obey the most. This is it. Let us be happy and count it joy whenever time we are obeying the Most High. It should not be a burden like, man, I can't do this. Man, we should be wanting to do it. And that is where we are all supposed to be. Want to love to do the will of the Most High. That is all I have for today.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, I want to ask you that the Passover starts on the 16th
Yes.
of March, and it goes on until
Unleavened bread, it goes on until I had, is it 23rd?
23rd?
No, let me get it. I don't want to tell a lie. You check it already? Let me get it.
23rd.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the 23rd. So
23rd. No,
yes, so the
no,
17th.
I don't eat meat. I don't eat any meat. So what else can I just eat? Some vegetables, or what can I eat? Just unleavened bread. I'm gonna make my own unleavened bread.
We had that question last time.
Marcia?
What did you say?
Yeah, go ahead, Brother Mahar.
No, someone had this very same question, I think it was last year or the year before last, and what we encourage that if it is coming from the Most High, for whatever reason we don't eat it, for that purpose it will be reversed, I believe. It would not do any harm when we seek to obey the Most High. It is the Most High law taking priority over the reason why we don't eat it in the first place.
Yeah.
So let's say.
So in other words, I should on during that time eat some meat. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, let's say if you eat meat and it causes you to throw up, all right? We also know that sickness comes as a result of disobedience, all right? So we can see it as, you know what? Maybe the reason why all this time I eat the meat, I throw up, it is because of disobedience. So this time around, what I'm doing is obeying the Most High, what He said that we are supposed to do. And you just never know. That day, you eat it as a sign of obeying the Most High. Then you might realize that the throwing up is now gone. And that will be a stepping stone. And your faith will be growing from that time going forward.
Yeah, so it's most important to me to be obedient to Him than anything else.
Indeed.
That's why I keep seeking the truth.
Indeed.
Good.
So just unleavened bread and either a goat or either lamb, right?
Yes.
Yes, and bitter herbs.
And bitter herbs. Okay.
Yeah.
And let me ask you about the Sabbath. I follow your teaching about that, and I agree on that, even though most people, even a lot of Israelite camps, they teach the Sabbath starts on Friday and go over to Saturday at dawn, but that's not what you teach, and I don't believe it either.
Yeah. But yeah. So the Shabbat begins in the morning.
Right.
But there's another twist to it, is that we should try to get our preparation done in the Sabbath, in the preparation day, because the day and night is very important. Let me see if I can get a verse. No. I don't have it right away. Okay, let me see. No. So just like how we have the Sabbath day, let me get it. Where is it? Oh, no. I don't have the verses at hand right now, but it says you should prepare on the 6th day. But a lot of us do, those who keep the morning Sabbath, what a lot of us do is that we usually take our preparation into the night of the preparation day. So it becomes a preparation night thing. But just as how we have the Sabbath day, that's how it has been coming to me over the past few weeks, just in my mind. And I say I have to say it. Just as how you have the preparation day and you have the Sabbath day, the day of preparation, we should be ready by the day of the preparation. So we shouldn't really be preparing in the night. Should be prepared and ready by the day.
And what about the Passover time? Do we do the same thing, prepare before time? Can we do it as we go through the Passover?
No, the Passover, it says you must not kill it in the light. So the preparation is in from the night. And it's going to be into the almost the next morning. That's the time that it spans that time.
Okay, so obviously I can't go out and kill a lamb or a goat, right? So do I just buy that and fix it or what?
That's the thing.
Can I put it on a barbecue pit and fix it? How do I do it?
Yes, it's good to give the commandments as they are written, but for me to come and tell people what to do, that's really tough, because all I can say is do your best, because I don't actually want to tell people what to do in this situation.
Okay.
What I would say, bro,
yeah,
it's very important that we read about the scripture, what it says about breaking the bone and all that stuff.
Yes.
That is what the scripture says. However, I mean, the same thing, we are not saying because you cannot do it because you will have to break the bone. We cannot say don't keep it. We're just going to say do your best. And the Most High knows our heart. I mean, like I said, he sees on the inside. Do our best to do according to what he commands us. But the best thing is not keep it.
Yeah. Yeah, the worst thing is not to keep it.
Yeah, the worst thing not to keep it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Oh, how does it go?
Can I join you for the Passover and the other feast?
Where's that person? Yes. Someone was asking if she can join us for the Passover. Another question.
Is there a link to the calendar?
Is there a link to the calendar? All right. I'll have to confirm with the person who put it back together, and then we will put the link on the website. We'll put it on the homepage of the website, and we will announce it in YouTube, in a new YouTube, what do you call it? Post, that it is available there. Okay? Well, I have to confirm with him.
Kingston.
Okay, so the person is in Kingston. So, Brother Mahar, the person in Kingston can join us for the Passover.
All right, we'll talk after. And sure, if the person have a contact number, we can get in touch, or let's see, we'll get together and see about that.
All right. Tell the person. Tell the person to go on justawordaradio.com and leave a message at the bottom of the homepage. There's a message form. Yeah, justawordaradio.com. There's a message form at the bottom of the contact. Just ask them to leave their phone number there, their contact number, and we will get back to her on that. To him on that. All right. Any other question?
Yeah. Why eat lamb if Yahusha is now the sacrificial lamb? It's not the lamb done away with.
All right. So this person is asking if the lamb is done away with. All right. We are physical beings as well as spiritual beings. There are certain commands that are purely spiritual and some that are physical and spiritual. So if the command says we should keep it forever, we should keep it forever. Now, the command includes eating and drinking. We can eat and we can drink. Now, we are able to eat and drink, and the command is to eat and drink, and we are going to rubbish it and say, the Messiah is done, the command is over. Command cannot be over because we will be keeping the feasts in the kingdom. Let me get a we'll be keeping the feasts in the kingdom. Huh? Okay. All right. Zechariah, in the book of Zechariah, it tells you what's going to happen in the kingdom. And it says, and it shall come to pass, Zechariah 14:16, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahuwah Sabaoth, and to keep the feast of tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahuwah Sabaoth, even upon them shall be no rain. So we're not only going to keep the feast, but those nations now who don't keep the feast, they are going to be punished. All right? So we are Israelites called by the Most High, and he gave us certain feasts that we should honor him. So with these feasts, he says that they are for the children of Israel forever. That means as long as you're an Israelite, you are going to be obligated to keep these feasts. So even if the Messiah came and the Messiah showed us the spiritual parallels, because the Messiah showed us the spiritual parallels so that we can walk out obedience spiritually. But we're also physical beings, so we walk it both physically and spiritually. For example, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The Feast of Unleavened Bread is a physical and spiritual feast. When you keep that feast, you get to understand the discipline involved and the spiritual things you understand by observing the commandment. You take all leaven out of your house. It brings in a week of discipline, and you get to see how much leaven was in your life. Spiritually, it focuses on, the week focuses on the leaven that is in your life, the things that you add to your life that causes you to sin. Yes? So it is spiritual and it is physical. Likewise, the Passover, physical and spiritual, as all the feasts are physical and spiritual together, because we are not only spiritual, we are physical and we are spiritual. Okay? Yeah.
But we won't be killing flesh in the kingdom, right?
It says we won't be killing flesh in the kingdom. I'm sorry that I don't have the precepts. Yes, there are going, it tells us in the book of Ezekiel, in the coming kingdom, that there will be priests and there will be sacrifices again in the kingdom. Ezekiel, which chapter is it? 40. Let me see if I can find it. If I can't find it, I will just refer you to it. Let me see. All right, I'm trying to find where it says the the sacrifices. All right, here's one of them. These are the priests that are going to be in the kingdom. And it says, and in the day that he goeth into the sanctuary, unto the inner court, to minister in the sanctuary, he shall offer his sin offering unto, saith Yahuwah, Alua. So there's a precedence there, that there will be sin offerings. And that is why it's in the scriptures. It's going right back to where it is. When the world is restored, it's going right back. 44:29. Talking about the Levites, they shall eat the meat offering and the sin offering and the trespass offering, and every dedicated thing in Israel shall be theirs. And the first of all, the first fruits of all things, and every oblation of every sort of your oblations shall be the priest. Ye shall also give unto the priest the first of your dough, that he may cause Barak to rest in your house. Barakah to rest in your house. So, yes, it is going back to where it all started. Yeah? So, that person. Any other questions? All right.
Yes, bro. Someone is asking, what if you share an apartment with someone and they have their own food that has leaven in it? What do you do?
You have to separate your food. Best to separate. Yeah.
Isn't it still having leaven, because it's not supposed. The instruction is not for it to be anywhere around you.
All right.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, for righteousness' sake, if one can, why not just go find a place for this? go join a brother or sister or anywhere that particularly can help you be able to observe this without having to take chances.
Yeah, if one can, it is advisable, but most people will not be able to do that. You just have to separate things, because, as we said, we are in captivity. And when the Most High spoke that, he was speaking to the children of Israel, that all of them would be of one heart and be obeying him. One instruction to everyone. But now we are in captivity, in a time of rebellion, when one person out of 1,000 may be looking to obey his commandments. So it's really sad, but that's just how it is.
Can I leave my 11 things in my garage freezer, or must it be totally out of the home?
It says in your home. The question is asking if you can leave the 11 things in the freezer in the garage. The whole point with that is, when the Most High said you must not have any leaven in your house, he says, if any man eat any leaven, he shall be cut off. So it seems the whole idea of that command is to make sure you don't have any leaven where you can accidentally eat it. But to be safe, I would try to take the leaven totally out of the house. That's the advice I would give, to be on the safe side.
And also, bro, yes, I'm seeing it that way, that we don't make any mistake and go eat that which we shouldn't eat around that time. So places like, let's say, storage, locked away, which you don't really cook from, that would also be a good idea, right?
Storage?
Outside of your house, like basement, which you don't really cook from, like go to get food. In that case, you would make a mistake to use those stuff.
Yeah, but if it's locked away somewhere, that's total, you're not going back there until after the feast. That is something to consider. In these cases, I don't want to tell people what to do. I just want to give people, that people think and decide for themselves.
Yeah, that's where wisdom going to jump in.
Yeah. But to be on the safe side, I would take it away from the property if I can. Yeah.
And someone was also asking
Yeah,
to,
go ahead.
to list the processes involved. What is expected during Passover?
We just did it in the teaching.
Oh, okay.
We just did it in the teaching. We went through the book of Jubilees 49 and we went through the book of Exodus 12. See what is occurred.
How can I be a part of the Zoom teachings?
Who's that?
Nikita said what?
Oh. I tell her to leave a message on justthewordradio.com in the message box and we'll see.
What is it?
Huh?
I can't write it that fast.
All right. The person is asking how can she become a part of the Zoom. Just go on justthewordradio.com and there is a message box at the bottom of the homepage. Just leave us a message there. We'll get the email and we'll get back to you on that. All right.
Shalom, bro.
Yeah, shalom.
Did you mention the wine as far as to go with the dinner for
Yes.
Passover?
Yes. The wine we dealt with that the last time, the Messiah. Following the Messiah drank wine with his Passover. So there are people among us who may not drink alcohol. I only drink alcohol largely once a year, and that is Passover. Largely once a year, and then I might drink what is left until it's finished, and that's it for me with wine. But there is no drinking wine is not a sin. It's drinking wine in excess that is a sin. So for the Passover, Hamashiach drank wine with the disciples. And the wine is such an integral part of it because he said, eat his flesh and drink this wine. It's drink his blood, which was likened to the wine. And he broke the bread and he gave it to them. And he also took the wine and drank. So the wine itself also a part of the Passover meal, if you truly follow Hamashiach. Yeah.
Some people say some wine have yeast.
Yeah, that's another thing. Some wines have yeast. And not only that, there is also something that they put in it that is pork derivative that they put in the wines as well. That's the other danger. You see, we live in Babylon. What a world we live in. What a world we live in. So, oh boy. Can't win while you're in Babylon. So we have to do some researching on that as well, yeah. What a place. Earth is given into the hand of the wicked, making sure that we transgress every way. That's why we have to watch everything we eat, everything we drink, because Babylon is deceptive. They're so slick. Any other questions? All right.
We have a question in the chat.
Okay.
Right. Question. The dates change every 5 years.
Which dates?
I can't hear.
Elisheba. Oh, that was a long time she asked that question. I don't know what it was.
Just right now. Wouldn't the inside of the animal be clean out?
Before it is roasted. Well, it said the pertinence, which we'll have to dig up on. And everywhere I dug earlier this week, and everywhere I dug, I saw the same thing, the inwards. So that's another one that we need to dig up more on as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, this one just come. I mean, it might sound a bit small, but I'm gonna ask anyway. So could the inside? Well, it says intestine, right?
Yeah.
Intestine. Okay. That's a tribe. Go
It
ahead.
says inwards, so it includes everything: the heart, the liver, the kidney, everything.
Because I was thinking it is not just the skin, but also inside of the. I mean, I don't know.
No, man, say what you want to say, because
So
maybe you agree
I
with
was
something.
wondering if it is not just the skin, but when the skin is removed, there's the inside part where the flesh and the bone is.
So you're
Oh.
saying, I don't know.
No, the pertinence just means the tribe, the insides, the towel. You know, the towel inside the animal, the heart, the lungs, all the insides. But now, within the week, I was telling Brother Kazak that there is no way we can cook the pertinence together with the bow in the animal. It's impossible, because when that goes off, you can't eat the animal. It becomes very poisonous. So we need to really clarify and look more into it to see exactly what it means there. You know, whether we have to, because I was saying how traditionally we will do it. You know, put the whole animal after killing it, put it on the fire, and then just what you call it, barbecue. Y'all call it barbecue that side, right? We call it bride this side. So you barbecue the whole animal, whilst you scrape off the hair of the animal. So until the whole hair of the animal is off and it's just the flesh, the skin, then by then the pertinence inside is cooked. So you can now, perform this dissection. You become a medical doctor trying to dissect the animal to get out the bowel, specifically the bowel. And then I'm sure we can probably put the whole animal on the fire to have it cooked properly. Yeah, but you can't have the bowel in it, because if it goes off, you may have to find another animal to slaughter again, because you may not be able to eat it. It's poisonous. So the bowel that I'm talking about is the green stuff inside. That green stuff, is it the gallbladder? I don't know, bro. Can you Google it? Can you Google a picture of it, the bowel, what it looks like, and then put it on the screen for me so that people can see?
No, we're not using any images today.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, brother. Sorry. Yeah. So the bowel is very harmful. That's my only concern about the pertinence. But other than that, here where we are, we eat everything inside the animal except the bowel. So on that day, we're just eating the flesh. But we need to get the bowel out one way or the other. So we need to look into that. I will also look into that within the week as well. Just make sure I also understand what's happening.
Yeah, we don't have much time.
Yep.
See.
Yeah, bro.
Did you also check to see if anyone else who been doing this and the way how it is done?
Yeah, I tried to find someone, but I couldn't find anyone that narrowed in exactly on that point and emphasized that point.
Yeah, because as to what Brother Samuel was saying, Brother Samuel, you see, we also don't want to accidentally break anything while we start the initial roasting. Let's say we're going to roast it, and then we could stop and take the inside part out. We don't know at what point things can break inside when we start to roast it.
Yeah.
We might can check with a butcher to see, for example, okay, how long it takes for the heat to penetrate through the body of a goat when roasting it, and see what they might say. And if they say, oh, maybe in 30 minutes, well, in 20 minutes, we would stop and say, okay, but to be on the safer side, let's start at 20 minutes. Okay. And I'm just throwing out time. It doesn't have to be accurate.
Oh boy.
Because, inside, I mean, everything is going to be inside.
So came across quite strongly, I think, when I was... Yeah. But now, it does not, it's not the same, the precept doesn't match up to the cleansing. For ceremony, it says that you need to burn the animal together with its waste. The feces and everything. But with the Passover one, all of that information. So it means that we can taste in the animal, in the stomach, and remove it and take out the bow, and then put everything on the fire with the animal. Once we are done with that, we're cleaning that, because the instruction is not to cook with boiling water. All right, so we just have to take out, clean, and then put it back there, and then have to like barbecue the whole thing together. That's what I'm thinking. That's because I've looked at it and I didn't see anything. But with the heifer, it was very clear. It says you burn the whole animal with the pertinence and the feces and everything together. You don't take out anything. But with the Passover specifically, it just says with the pertinence. So it means that we can take out that green stuff, you know, the mess of the animal. Just get it out.
I said, me saying maybe we can take it out first before you do anything.
Yes. Once you put it on fire and you remove the skin, because you need the fire to remove the animal fat in the hair on the animal. So you burn everything and you scrape it off. So once you scrape everything off and you have just the hide, the skin of the animal, then now you can take it off the fire and then open it and then get the gut out and then open the gut and then rinse the feces from the belly, from the stomach. And then once that is out, you can also cut the bowel, but you have to be careful because the bowel is right next to the liver. So you cut that part out. It's a small little green stuff like that, very small. And then you throw that out because you don't need that. Once that bursts and it goes on your meat, done. You have to get another sheep and slaughter in time, in record time for the Passover.
Wow.
So in that case, you would have to have a second one waiting, just in case.
Just in case.
Wow. So I'm asking people here to just go and see if you can search and find even a video to see how people handle this situation or this question. Okay?
I have a question. I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you know that that scripture wasn't messed with by the oppressors, where they're telling you to cook the animal with the intestines in there? Because I saw somebody online this week who read the book of Enoch, and the book of Enoch has been changed where the fallen angels are being described as Black people, and this person believes it. So I'm just saying, how do you change Jubilees so that we will do something that would make the meat unclean? Because the intestines would make the meat unclean.
All right, because there are more than one witnesses. It's not only the Bible.
Okay.
We just read it in the book of Jubilees as well. So in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, a matter is established.
But how do you know the book of Jubilees wasn't changed? That's just my question. I'm just wondering about that. Because if they're going to change the book of Enoch to have the fallen angels be Black, why wouldn't they do that, change Jubilees so that we'll do something unclean?
Okay, because you have other witnesses, you have other interpretations of the book of Jubilees, of Enoch, that doesn't say anything like that. So what the Most High does, he always gives us a chance at the truth. If they change everything and there's no witness to tell us, then we won't have a chance at the truth. And this is why the Satanists, when they go and do their things, they have to come out and tell us the truth before they do it. Because we have to have a chance at the truth.
And also, it's also some of these practices are still embedded in some of the children of Yasharal.
Yeah.
Right. The customs are still there. Though we do not have an understanding why we do that, it's always embedded there. So when we see it in the book and we know who we are, quickly we pick it up. Oh, so that's why we do that. Because some of the tribes around do not literally burn the animal when they slaughter an animal. They skin the animal. But for the tribes like the Ashanti, like the Igbo, like some of the West Coast tribes there, they burn. It's a must. They burn the goats or the sheep, the lamb, and to remove all the fat. So you can see it's there. It's not something that I think the oppressor can easily. These are the things that they actually learn from us as well, burning these animals. Because our people are very expert at burning these animals precisely without having to burst any interest, any insight, any insight.
So Shamuel,
Oh.
you don't know anyone around you who does it like that you could ask?
What specifically? Tell me.
I mean, like roast the animal with the pertinence before and scrape off the skin. Yeah.
No, bro, I've been slaughtering this thing for a long time. We do that here, me and the Nigerians and all that. We do that a lot. We've been doing it for ages. Yeah. So you come here, we put the animal. That's why I was running you through it. We put the animal on the fire, all right, and the head, the legs and everything on the fire, roast, and then we scrape off. I will try and get a video and I'll share with you. We scrape off the fur. And then once the whole fur is out, you find that the animal is just bare. It's right, just the hide, just the skin. And then once that is that, you will see that the animal is semi-cooked, but it's not cooked. So you just cut the stomach open slowly. You don't just poke it. You just keep sliding. You slice, and as you slicing, you find the skin open. And then once it opens, you will see the intestines pushing out, the stomach and everything trying to push out. So once you get the proper cut, make sure you don't cut the stomach because the feces is going to spread in the animal. So you have to make sure that you are cutting with a sharp knife and that you are doing it in a well thought out way, not recklessly. So once it's open, the belly is open, you pull out. You can literally pull out the inside from the animal and then take it somewhere far away. And then you just pour out the feces from the animal and then wash it, rinse it. You rinse the intestine and the stomach. And then when you are done, you bring it back, put it on the fire, cut the bile from it. And then that's it. You continue now roasting until it's well cooked. And then now you can have your animal that is ready to be consumed. Last year I came very close. I just realized I missed one aspect because now that we spoke about it, I was looking at the passage carefully and I realized it was something I omitted. So we have to go back to the drawing table. But in terms of the slaughtering, that is how it's going to be. Just the patience to open it. Once you are done with the fire scraping of the animal, you just have to make sure you cut open it, very well.
Okay. All right. Wow, this has been a long discussion. The Passover, always a tough one. All right. So, where are we? Oh, this was not pinned. Thought it was pinned. I hope it doesn't affect the output. All right. So, do you have anything to say in closing, Shamuel?
We encourage everyone to endeavor to try. Just try. All right. When it comes to obedience, we need to try everything we can. There is no excuses. If you want to be able to do this, you should be able to do it. I know some people are saying, no, but we cannot find a full goat or a full sheep or whatever it is. Is it a kosher? Is it a kosher or halal? What do they call it?
I think a kosher, the Jewish call it.
Yeah. Just find a kosher butchery and just buy a piece of the lamb there, or if they have a goat, you get a piece of the goat and then try and just follow do your best to be righteous. That's all. So I'm encouraging everybody, try and partake in this one. I know for certain that this is so important because it has been pressed on me. It's like so hard, and I've been hounding the family that we need to know exactly, the dates and all that, because this is so important, especially in these times that we are living in. Anything is possible. And right now we need to be in this covering. These are the things that symbolizes our covering, our obedience. This is how the Most High is able to show us mercy. Mm-hmm. So let's try as much as we can to do this. Nothing like, oh, I don't drink wine for the sake of righteousness. Just partake in it. Just have a sip. Do something, but don't let it pass you by and sit whilst this festive season goes by and you are unprotected. All right. So please, it's just an encouragement to all of you. Do your best to be a part of it. All right. Shabbat Shalom.
And real quick, for the ones who don't eat meat or don't drink wine or whatever, don't eat bitter stuff. Personally, for almost 40 years, I did not eat roast breadfruit. And sometime this year, I ate it, and nothing happened. I'm just saying.
Just Shamal just answered.
Yeah.
What was that, Brother Mahar? I'll forget I didn't get the last part.
No, I was saying for the ones who don't eat meat or bitter herbs or drink wine, myself didn't eat roast breadfruit for almost 40 years.
Oh.
And one day I just ate it. Nothing, everything is okay.
You didn't die, you're still alive.
Brother Samuel, I wouldn't be talking to you now.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question? I was wondering, for the kosher and halal, don't they do their own special prayers over those things? Like kosher, I think they do they have a rabbi do prayers over it, and halal, they do the same thing. Doesn't that make that kind of not appropriate for us?
That's another thing, because the halal especially, that's the Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
So they dedicate their thing to Allah. So, and
the kosher, they do the same thing, and we know who their God is.
Yeah. But whichever angle you go, you get bitten. That's the nature of Babylon.
But also, we have to remember that the Most High scattered us all over this nation, and it did say we're going to serve other gods that our forefathers didn't know. So everywhere we go, we're going to get beaten by something. These people are wicked.
Yeah. All right. So, someone was asking, is that the same question? If they cannot get their own lamb, if they can go and buy it. So a suggestion was made to go kosher, but then it was brought up that these people pray over these meats. So I don't even know what to tell you. All I can tell you is to try your best. The best that you can do your best. That's all I can say. But make sure you keep the Passover. Do your best, but make sure you keep the Passover. Not because you can't do what everyone does, that does not mean you do not strive within your limitations, because the Most High knows your limitation. He knows your heart. He knows what you want to achieve, but you are not able to do it. So, as it says is it Acts 17 or Acts 5? It says, at the time of your ignorance, Yahuwah winked at. He winks at your ignorance, but we will also understand, even when you know, and you can't do better, and you want to obey him, and you strive with all your heart. I believe he will accept your offering. All right. So, that should be it. Video is getting long now. This is Kazakh Aliyahu Yasharal. Yeah. Brother Deval was saying it's better to buy non-kosher. Isn't it better to buy non-kosher or non-halal? Because you can pray over it yourself. And I agree. All right. So, Kazakh Aliyahu Yasharal here, along with my co-host, Mahar Kuhn. We were with you to look at the calendar and look at Passover coming up on the 16th. As we said, we are going to finalize the calendar. We have a copy, but we want to make sure it is okayed by the person who put it together. And then we will make it downloadable on the justawordradio.com website. On the homepage, I guess we'll make it downloadable. And we will give a notification in Facebook, in YouTube, a YouTube post to let you know that the calendar is ready. All right? So, yeah, this is all we have for today. Thank you for being there with us. Thank you for all those who stayed with us in the chat. Thank you for all who partook and who were listening. All right. Until next time, shalom. But I have to also, I forgot to tell you that I started a personal vlog, a YouTube channel that I will be vlogging, which means I'll be making short videos on a more regular basis. That's the intention. I'm telling you how it will go. And it will be shorter videos that will be more targeted. Some will be as short as 3 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, 2 minutes plus, 10, 15, 20 minutes, half hour, who knows, along those lines, to deal with particular topics of interest and to deal with what's happening in the world today, to keep our people informed so that they can be awakened as to what is happening in the world, because we must let our people know, as watchmen, must let our people know what time it is. All right? The Most High will lay things on the hearts of the watchmen. He will lay it first so that his people can be warned. So we have to take up the calling and warn our people about what is happening. Give them clarity as to what is happening in the world. Give them clarity matching scriptures with what is happening in the world, so our people can get the understanding that we have been given, and so be able to make better choices and be able to not be snared by the wicked. All right. So I'm going to leave we're going to leave the link inside the description of the YouTube video, so you can all subscribe, and let's get going with that together. All right. So shalom, everyone, and have a great rest of the Shabbat and a great coming week. All right. Shalom. And the link is also in the YouTube chat there as well. All right. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Have a great day. All right.